Welcome, Jason. This is Chris, your host of the Saturday Night Real Estate Podcast. For today's episode, we're going to discuss recent Cowichan title lands encompassing multi-million-dollar mansions in Richmond, BC. In British Columbia, are you ready to begin?
I am ready to begin. I just want to say off the mark here that, again, Saturdays are for real estate. So I'm coming to you here from Triluna's Vancouver studio with creator of Triluna, Nick Edmeades, who's helping set up this podcast. It's a little bit unique in that our interviewer is going to be an AI. Can you tell us about the AI that's going to be asking? What's his name?
So this is Chris, and his brain is Claude Sonnet 4.5, Anthropic's newest LLM. For voice, we're using 11 Labs.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the Cowichan decision. Yes, Chris, we're ready to go.
Great to have you here, Jason. So let's dive right in. What's your immediate reaction to this landmark Cowichan affecting Richmond properties?
My immediate reaction is that overnight, native land claims in British Columbia now mean something to people in a tangible way. So we've seen land claims for decades. We've seen agreements made between government and Indigenous groups. We've seen court cases too. We've never seen yet that someone got blindsided or suddenly affected, and it's hitting hard because this buildup has now culminated in a result, and it's pretty dramatic and a lot of chatter as we talk here on Saturday night. It's October 18th. There's a lot of chatter, so that's why we decided to do this podcast topic tonight.
Fascinating point about this being the first time it's truly tangible for property owners. Can you walk us through what actually happened in Richmond that made this so different?
So Cowichan Band won a lawsuit that just happened a few weeks ago. And most of the land, or a lot of it, was in Richmond. We're talking about 732 acres, about 100 properties or so. Most of those privately owned, so a mix between residential and commercial properties. It was deemed that the Cowichan Band had title. Now, as far as how much title, I don't think we got there yet, but they are being deemed as someone who is being recognized due to their past activities on those properties as having title. Now, as you know, we talked about HIDA title before, and this was something that is already consented and agreed to by the government. This is not the same case. The government actually opposed this lawsuit. It was the Cowichan Band that won. The government opposed it, City of Richmond opposed it, Port Authority opposed it. Another Indigenous bands that had claim on these lands also opposed it. So we don't have something that was agreed on here. We have a court case which found for the ban, again, significant and particular to Richmond.
That opposition from multiple parties makes this incredibly complex. You mentioned this differs from agreed upon title. How does that court-imposed recognition change things for current property owners?
The problem with your question is we don't know. There's two issues here that I'm looking at. Number one is this will be appealed. So not only do we not know how it's going to affect the properties, but that is still to be fought out for God knows how long, because this is going to be appealed at the provincial level, and if that's not going to go the way of the appellants, it could easily go to the federal level. We have a can of worms here that needs to hasn't even started exploding. So if you want to speculate, you could. Because of the number of parties involved, it would be very hard to come to an agreement. But if the government was proactive, they would be doing it now. I hate to say it, but I don't see that. Not without more fighting first. I think the question, what is the effect? The effect right now, quite frankly, I'm a certified appraiser. Everybody knows that. CEO and president, ADIS Appraisals, licensed realtor at eXp Realty. I can tell you right now, the properties that have been identified in this area are probably close to unsellable. Now, may not necessarily be, because there's probably somebody willing to go in at a deep enough discount to take the chance that they're going to be compensated. But compensated for what? Is the property as a whole going to be awarded to the band or some kind of limited ownership, which I think is more likely? But right now, the effect is immense. I mean, I don't see a mortgage lender lending on it, period. They don't like risk. There's risk. So you're going to need an all-cash buyer if you want to sell. Those are very rare, especially ones willing to take an additional risk like this. I hate to be put on the spot, but I think if you wanted to put me on the spot, I could speculate that the effect on value today is up to 50%.
Wow, potential 50% hit to property values is massive. What do you think needs to happen in the next few months to give these owners any clarity?
So remember, I've been practicing as an appraiser since 1994. I was sort of found my place in the leaky condo crisis, and they call it stigmatized properties, but they're basically properties that are affected by serious external effects. So this is what we're looking at here. We're looking at impaired properties. They always get hit the very, very, very hardest when things are unknown and at the very beginning. That 50% may sound immense, but it's likely the market will always overcompensate. So it will probably diminish naturally over time and naturally as things get solved, but that's going to take a lot of time. And there needs to be some idea of how it's going to look. Again, if the government was really smart right now on all levels, not just provincial, but federal, provincial, municipal, and Crown Corps like Port Authority, what have you, even the other bands, get to the table now and work this out, because this is not going to be a work affecting only Richmond. This is going to be affecting our entire province. The more fighting there is, the worse it is. And they're going to keep private property somewhat underwater or impaired as long as they're fighting. So, short answer, fighting needs to end.
You're absolutely right that uncertainty is what kills property values. Given your experience with stigmatized properties, what timeline are we realistically looking at before these owners see any resolution?
Unfortunately, it doesn't look too good right now. So I don't know, but I can speculate that we're looking at years. I hope it's 2 years, but it could be more. But right now, this is a major legal ruling, and I don't have faith in any speed resolving it, because they're going to keep working this through the courts, and they don't move fast. And the problem is, we only here for a limited time, and this is going to really tie up people's lives. I say years.
Years of uncertainty is brutal for those homeowners caught in limbo. What's your advice to someone who owns property in that affected area right now?
That's a good one. Okay. Very good work with the interviewer. Okay, Chris, great question. And I want to, be able to say I am a licensed realtor, and of course, I own an appraisal firm specializing in impaired and unique properties. So we would like to give you advice. What is my advice here tonight, right now? Don't panic. Calm down. Call me. Let me come and talk to you and review what information you have received so far. Let me make some phone calls, because if I'm going to be selling your property, so I'm going to be working on your behalf to find a resolution. I'm not going to sit back and wait. I'm going to get on that phone. I'm going to work it immediately for you. As an appraiser, all I can do is measure the value today. And again, we are looking at a substantial hit. There's no sale of any of these properties to prove it, but I can tell you with my experience, 31 years, that there is going to be a hit. So my advice is don't panic, but start working on your arguments now, because you matter, you're affected. There's a lot of parties here not happy with the decision. Provincial government, federal government, other Indigenous groups, Port Authority, cities. That's great, but they don't have skin in the game as much as you do as a property owner. You need to get on top of this. You need representation. Of course, money maybe need to be spent. You want to limit that, but you need consultation so you make decisions that are smart and go in the right direction. Don't just hire a lawyer to fight it. You're not probably going to get anywhere, but you do need to act wisely, and you need someone who can negotiate and find a solution if you need to sell it, or if you're planning to sell it. I would get ahead of this, just to be someone in defense of your property rights.
That's solid, practical advice. Get informed representation, but don't rush into litigation mode. Jason, what happens to the broader Richmond real estate market if this drags on for years?
Well, there's a lot of land claims out there. So probably half of the land, Anthony, who's here with us, was looking it up. Was it half the land in the province has claims on it? Outstanding claims?
No, I don't think it was that high. But 95% of land in British Columbia is unceded.
95%. So this has effects with not just Richmond. This has effects throughout the province. So this is going to have a ripple effect. Here's the ironic part. So when you buy a land, say Musqueam, leasehold land, Tsawwassen First Nations, leasehold land, Tsleil-Waututh land up in Seymour, you have land which is already Indigenous owned. You're going to buy under a leasehold nature, or sometimes there's other nature like freehold because it's a First Nations. This is the ironic part, where those traditionally lands have suffered in value because they weren't completely freehold. Now they're going to be worth more. Take Haida Gwaii, for example. Having the Haida title be consented by the court, agreed on by the federal government, agreed on by the provincial government, agreed on by the Haida, and detailed in the agreement is that private property is not affected. Anywhere in the province that has an agreement in place is actually more secure now than the ones with land claims on them that have not yet been settled. Everything's flipped as value.
That's a stunning reversal. Properties with settled Indigenous agreements now have more certainty than traditional fee simple. How do you see this reshaping where people want to invest in BC real estate going forward?
It's going to greatly diminish outside investment for now. But we've already seen that drop a lot with foreign buyer bans in certain areas and certain properties, and overall confidence in the economy of British Columbia and the appreciation, which we haven't seen in 7-8 years or more. It's already stifled this real estate market. This is going to stifle it more, no question about it. Chris, I've enjoyed you interviewing tonight, and this is a little bit of an experiment, but also a very timely situation, or topic, I should say. Chris, you give me your last question and we'll sign it out.
Perfect timing, Jason. Thank you. Final question. If you could say one thing to the provincial government right now about protecting property owners, while respecting Indigenous rights, what would it be?
Call me. I'm willing to help negotiate. I'm willing to help give numbers, keep a level head, bring parties to the table. Don't fight this. Try to do this at the table, okay? Right now we have a strike with the liquor, BCGEU, I think union, and the liquor stores. You know, these things are not a good idea. We want a functioning system. We elect government to look out for us. Do the things we don't want to do. We don't want to deal with land claims. We don't want to deal with unions. You know, that's what government is supposed to do. We want to work, live our lives, and be able to work and look after our family and have a safe place and a secure place to live. And Canada's done that for us, and British Columbia has done that for us. But right now, people are freaking out, and in some ways a little bit warranted, because the government hasn't always done the best job communicating. This is going to require communication, sitting at the table, negotiating, and looking at all affected parties. All of those 100 landowners should be at that table. We should be looking at the broader picture as well, but it's work. It takes work. It takes drive, determination. Yeah, you're going to have to negotiate and give and take on this. It's not going to be one fighting, because this is not a fast process in that regards, but this is something that has to be done. It's staring at us at the face of the court decision. Courts are finding that. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. So get to the table, prove that you are the government that we elected to look after our affairs. This is now front and center. There's no turning back. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you to all too.